Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to deconstruct a supplement that makes a promise that sounds, well, almost impossible. Visible results in just one day. And this is the core of their whole brand. They're basically saying, why wait for months to see if something's working? It's a direct challenge to how we normally think about supplements. Okay, so the big question is, how on earth can they deliver on a promise that bold? Well, to figure that out, we've really got to break it down. We're going to dive into the tech, the ingredients, and yeah, the actual clinical data behind this Astene capsule. All right, the first clue here isn't even about the ingredients themselves. Nope, it's all about how they get delivered. The secret actually starts with the capsule. So Astene uses something called double capsule technology. Now, don't just picture a regular pill. Think of it more like a smart two-stage rocket. It's been engineered to get its payload, the active ingredients, exactly where it needs to go, at exactly the right time. So here's how this whole two-stage thing works. First, the outer capsule dissolves right in the stomach. That releases all the oil-based stuff for immediate absorption. But the real magic, the clever part, is the inner capsule. It's like a tiny little shield. It protects the more delicate, powder-based ingredients from all that harsh stomach acid, carrying them safely all the way down to the small intestine, which is, the absolute best place for nutrient absorption. Okay, so we've established the delivery system is pretty smart. But that brings us to the big question, right? Once it gets where it's going, what's actually inside that protected inner capsule? The hero ingredient here is something called astaxanthin. It comes from microalgae, and get this, the source material calls it nature's most powerful antioxidant. And the key thing is, our bodies just can't make this stuff on their own. And when we talk about power, you've got to understand the scale here. Research shows that astaxanthin's antioxidant capacity is a whopping 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C. 6,000. And this chart really puts that into perspective. So if vitamin C is our baseline, you can see another well-known antioxidant, coenzyme Q10, is about 800 times stronger. Which is impressive, right? But then look at astaxanthin. It's in a completely different league. It totally dwarfs them both. But wait, it doesn't even stop there. Astene adds another layer of tech on top of this powerful ingredient. It's called far infrared or FIR energy. This is an award-winning innovation that basically helps your cells get way better at absorbing nutrients. We're talking claims of up to a 98% increase in absorption. That's huge. So look, a smart delivery system, super powerful ingredients, it all sounds really impressive on paper. But the real question is, does it actually work? For that, we've got to look at the clinical evidence. So back in 2024, this exact formula, which is called ASTX2, was put to the test in a human clinical trial in Poland, and it even won an award. The study was pretty straightforward. It compared a group taking the Astaxanthin formula against a control group, all over a 6-week period. Let's kick things off with wrinkle reduction. So after 6 weeks, the group taking the FIR astaxanthin showed a much better improvement score. Now, I know the numbers on the screen might look small, but trust me, in the world of dermatology, that kind of difference is actually pretty meaningful. All right, but when they looked at skin hydration, the results were way more dramatic. The test group saw an 85.4% improvement. That is a massive leap compared to the control group. The trial also looked at how skin reacted to UV light. And after 4 weeks, the Astaxanthin group had a much lower increase in melanin. That's the pigment that causes dark spots. So it seems to have some kind of protective effect. And last but not least, they measured skin redness and inflammation after that UV exposure. And again, the group on the Astene formula came out on top, showing a stronger protective effect and just less redness than the control group. Okay, so we've got the tech, we've got the star ingredient, and we've got the clinical data. But what does all of this actually mean for real people? How does it translate into benefits you can actually see and feel? Well, what's interesting is how the brand positions this. According to them, the product targets different concerns depending on your age. So if you're in your 20s, the aim is that incredible glass skin look, plumpness, a real glow. Once you're in your 30s, the focus kind of shifts to keeping a rosy complexion and maybe delaying those first little signs of wrinkles. Then, for those in their 40s, it's more about fading existing wrinkles and restoring that skin strength. But then it gets really interesting. For people in their 50s and up, the claimed benefits actually go beyond just skin. We're talking about things like reducing hot flashes and even getting better, deeper sleep. And you can see these specific claims pop up in the brand's own testimonials. Take this one, for example. It's from a customer in her 50s, and she talks directly about that hot flash benefit, claiming a pretty incredible 90% reduction after just a single pill. And here's another one from a 33-year-old user. She's connecting right back to those benefits for her age group. Fast results, glowing skin, makeup staying put. And this is exactly how the brand tries to bridge that gap between the cold, hard lab data and someone's actual real-life experience. Okay, so to wrap up our little deconstruction here, we have to look at the foundation of trust for any product like this, right? I'm talking about certifications and any international recognition it's received.
And Astene does have some solid backing. We've already mentioned the international awards, one for its fair tech and another for that clinical trial. On top of that, it's got a whole list of safety and manufacturing certifications, things like GMP, ISO, and it's even halal certified, which of course makes it accessible to a much wider group of people around the world.
So there you have it. We've broken down the delivery system, the super potent antioxidant at its core, the clinical data, and the real-world claims. And it really all comes down to one big question. Can this combination of smart technology and powerful nature really redefine how quickly we can see results? That's the one-day promise. Thanks so much for joining this explainer.